Hello and welcome to a very, very special episode of the Drawing Room Experts. I am so happy about this particular one. It is a very special episode. It's my 100th episode for the podcast. 100 episodes. I never thought I'd be able to do 100 of these when I started back in 2020, I think. Um, and it's taken a while for me to get to this point, but I am very humbled and very excited that I've been able to bring to you guys 100 episodes, and that too topics on topics ranging from everything, um, from sports to politics to religion to science to social matters to personal matters. Uh, Anything that I felt strongly about, I discussed it, and um, it's been a fantastic journey so far, and I would like to continue this as long as I can. Essentially, um, just wanted to record this quick intro. As you can see, from my attire, of coming in from a quick workout here on a business trip to Salt Lake City. It is insanely hot over here, and as I was thinking of editing this particular episode, I thought I'd think a proper intro talking about the 100th episode is needed. So this particular episode, it's a 100 episode, featuring one of the drawing room's favorite guitarist and musician, Mr. Shahrukh Aslam, of Bayaan, the band, who we have discussed in great length in one of our episodes, talking about their first album, Suno, and this this gentleman was brought up in not so very glamorous light in that episode, but he was kind enough to give our episode a listen, our review of the album a listen, and although he didn't take too well with our reviews of a song that he did, which was something that we will discuss in this particular episode as well. But he has been an absolute champion in sport to give me someone who he hardly knows some time to talk about music, talk about Bayaan, talk about um, um, just everything, I guess, from a music perspective and his journey. This is a very special episode. I would like to first of all, foremost, thank Shahrukh for essentially just being such a sport and giving me time and having a very long ass discussion. We had a good extension of this discussion after we stopped recording as well, in which we basically he laid it all out, but that's between me and him. But yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better discussion to feature on the 100th episode of the Drawing Room Experts. Wherever you are listening to this, audio or video, please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the podcast on all audio formats: Spotify and Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Audible, Facebook, Samsung, Podbean. Podbean for being the host of my podcast. I think it's been a fantastic journey with Podbean as well. I mean, I've learned the whole platform thing from scratch, and couldn't have asked for a better platform in Podbean to really have to really ease me into this. All right, before this turns into or makes my editing job a little tougher, I will let you guys get on with it. Hope you guys enjoy the 100th episode of the Drawing Room Experts. Hello and welcome to the Drawing Room Experts. This is Zaib, and with me I have a very, very special guest after constant back and forth and trying to match our calendars and timelines, and but I couldn't be happier to have him. He has had a little bit of a it's not his debut on the podcast per se. I mean, in a very different way. We've had a chat about him. Something that I also wanted to bring it up because there was, I think that's how we got introduced. Like he got introduced to us through that conversation about Bayan we had way back when we started the podcast. But with me, I have none other than guitarist extraordinaire of the band Bayan, and winner of the Battle of the Bands, Mr. Shahrukh Aslam. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me on. Hello, Internet.
Internet loves you, apparently. I mean, you're pretty much into the the meme circuits. I see what you share on your own Instagram, and I have a hunch ke Bayan ka bhi Instagram handle. I think you kind of run it, don't you?
Well, all five of us are logged in. अगर आप कभी भी कोई passive aggressive या petty comments पढ़ें from Bayan, those are usually me. If you see something funny, that's usually
Sassy,
me.
sassy as well.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Sassy, sassy. But first of all, I mean, just congratulations on. I mean, I know you weren't like directly involved with the Coke Studio thing, but that kind of blew up. I mean, obviously, Asfar is a huge, part of the band, and you guys are equally important and part of his success. So I wanted to congratulate you on the whole thing. And what has been really interesting to like the whole journey Coke Studio season 14 has had, such a huge impact on musicians and with things that I think one of the things which I found really interesting was कि एक जो बेसमेंट वाला जो ग्रुप था एक आई थिंक उसका एक बहुत बड़ा impact I see now on the scene, and that basement wala impact group was you as well, right? Briefly in the middle somewhere,
Yeah, I was actually in the first two seasons. I was
right?
part of pretty much every song on season one. Nobody should watch season one though. Um,
No, I
but
think season 1 and 2 kind of picked it up, didn't it?
Hey, season two was fun. I think the quality of the work that we put out in season two is something that was much better. So I'd say everyone should
Right.
watch season two, and everyone should like find me उस पूरे
In the
अंधेरे
background, huh?
basement में कहीं ना कहीं हमेशा नजर आ जाऊंगा. But yeah, I was featured prominently in the first two. I think I also did like a cameo appearance in a later season. I don't
Right,
remember
right,
which
right,
one. But yeah, I'm
right, right.
part of the first batch basically of the
The फर्स्ट
basement
बैच.
kids.
तो हाउ डज इट एक्चुअली फील, क्योंकि एक मुझे मुझे ना बड़ा एक आउटसाइडर व्यू से मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक जैसे कि वो नहीं होता, एक टीम थी, एक कंपनी थी जो स्टार्टेड वे बैक, एक स्टार्टअप टाइप की पोजीशन थी, एंड नाउ देव ऑल काइंड ऑफ लाइक मेड their big names, right? Yourself and Asfar, and then Zulfi obviously was huge even back then, but now he's gone to an absolute maestro level type का बंदा बन चुका है. तो do you feel like it's a surprise, or like how does that how do you feel about that journey? Uh, those batchmates, if you like, made so far.
I mean, it's super cool, and I'm of course incredibly just proud of all of them for where they're at now,
Uh
no
huh.
matter what they're doing, because not everyone necessarily stuck to music. And
Right.
for example, closest to home would be Asfar. Asfar
Uh huh.
came in from Chitral. He was an absolute unknown. I
Mm-hmm.
met him through season one of The Basement, and from that
Right.
to Coke Studio, Merum, 10 million views.
Mm-hmm.
It's super exciting, and I just because of how much I love him, because he's very much like family to me. So you
Right.
know, I didn't have to be on Coke Studio to be on Coke Studio in that sense,
I know.
because
I know.
it's better than me being on the show, because he can put out such amazing stuff. Um, as for whether or not, I mean, कोई idea नहीं था कि मैं क्या कर रहा था. For example, in
Mm.
my personal case, I was what in my third year of uni at the time, and it was just like this is something that's happening, तो कर लो. And I was like, चलो ठीक है कर लेता हूँ. Um, I've personally, again, I'm very very bad at um, just being in touch with scene, like music scene हो गया, जो भी
हाँ
scene हो गया.
हाँ, right, right.
I'm
Underground
always
scene.
very, yeah, I'm always generally very out of touch from all the scenes,
Right.
because I don't. really enjoy interacting with people that much, and I'm
Right.
very bad at keeping in touch. I'm very bad at forming, just networked connections in that
हाँ
sense.
हाँ हाँ
So,
हाँ हाँ.
so एक तो I had no idea कि अंडरग्राउंड में इतनी टैलेंट छुपी हुई थी, एंड देन
Right.
उसको उसको निकाल के बेसमेंट में दिखा दिया. आई वाज लाइक, oh, it's cool कि ये हो गया है, but I didn't
हाँ.
realize कि that would like open a door that would lead to this
Oh
sort
yeah.
of journey. And quite frankly, ये जो बेसमेंट की कॉम है, ये एक वायरस की तरह उन्होंने पाकिस्तान की म्यूजिक इंडस्ट्री को बस इन्फेक्ट कर लिया है, बिकॉज
I know,
दे
right?
आर नाउ द ones who are everywhere. Like बिलावल हर बंदे का ड्रमर है. और जो
Exactly.
और जो बाकी रह गए हैं, one of the Rame brothers just takes over from there.
हाँ. Absolutely, doesn't it? Like मुझे ये और मैं बताऊँ कि to I'm gonna be honest, जब when basement started, तो एक उस वक्त ना, I don't know if you remember, एक वेव थी कि कॉर्पोरेट टाइप की शोज जो बन रहे थे, लाइक फना स्टूडियो एंड धमाका स्टूडियो.
Exactly.
बेसमेंट आया, आई थिंक उस वक्त, आई थिंक एक आइसक्रीम कंपनी का भी आया था, आई डोंट रिमेंबर क्या था एग्जैक्टली, बट
I think
बेसमेंट जब आया,
Omar tried something, I
आई
believe.
नो, राइट राइट, तो ऐसा कुछ था. तो जब उसी के अराउंड नेस्कैफे बेसमेंट आया, तो आई वाज यार ये, और फिर देन इट ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ गेव दैट वाइब, क्योंकि दे वर नॉट डूइंग ओरिजिनल्स पर से, लाइक आई थिंक थ्रू आउट द सीजन्स, इफ यू लाइक. ऐसा नहीं है कि ओवरवेलमिंग वहाँ पर ओरिजिनल्स हो रहे थे. इट वाज मोस्टली रीडन्स, और लाइक थोड़ा सा लाइक री इंजीनियरिंग और री थिंकिंग ऑफ ओरिजिनल सॉन्ग्स, जो कि काइंड ऑफ कोक स्टूडियो पहले से वाज काइंड ऑफ लाइक डैबलिंग विद दैट, राइट? तो मुझे ऐसा कोई इतनी हाई होप्स नहीं थी, बट ऑब्वियसली जुल्फी, क्योंकि ईपी एंड सॉरी, या ईपी एक्चुअली, हाँ मैं
Yeah.
नाम ही भूल गया था. तो ईपी की उस पे लाइक आई वाज लाइक, चलो, लाइक ही इज सच एन इंटरेस्टिंग पर्सन, क्योंकि आई नेवर थॉट कि ही इज गोना बी लाइक द म्यूजिक प्रोड्यूसर और डायरेक्टर टाइप person. I thought he was kind of in the weeds of things kind of person. When you were working with him on Basement, did you feel like that ke, although you were kind of like redoing songs, did you feel like यार ये creative बंदा है, कुछ next level genius आदमी है?
So the thing that I super admire about him, there's a couple of things, but really I think the thing that I absolutely admire the most about working with him is um, he hasn't lost like an enthusiasm for
Hmm.
stuff. So I mean,
I can see that.
we would get very excited about a riff, he'd get very excited about a microphone, he'd get very excited about
हाँ.
mic placement, get very excited about a plugin. I mean, if you lose that enthusiasm, then you stop. Even if you work really hard without that enthusiasm, there's always a bit of spark
हाँ. I
that's
know,
missing. So
yeah.
the other thing that I really appreciated was that um, he thankfully didn't pull a lot of "मैं senior हूँ, shut up."
Oh, okay.
So there was this always this element of, collaboration that
Hmm.
was experienced basement ke sets per, in basement ke rehearsals per. As much as, for example, he would have an idea of, here's a bit that we can add, here's a riff that we can add, he would be utna hi open about listening to ideas from other people. So for example, we did a Brian Adams cover in
I know,
season
yeah,
two,
yeah. I
and the
remember
reason
that.
why I'm going there is because this is like a personal memory of mine, which was
हाँ,
कि
हाँ.
we were stuck on outro के साथ क्या करना है. Like we had these bits and pieces,
हाँ, हाँ.
and he came up with this fun riff, this fun odd time riff,
हुँ, हुँ.
and कोई हल्की फुल्की सी बात हो रही थी, and again this is like a while back, so जो specificities हैं वो मुझे याद नहीं होंगी, but
हाँ,
this is
हाँ.
a back and forth के इसको थोड़ा सा proggy और trippy करते हैं, इसको थोड़ा सा speed up
हाँ.
करते हैं, ये करते हैं, वो करते हैं, and then we you know we ended the session for the day. And I sort of remember कि उस हफ्ते या शायद उस दिन या अगले दिन or something, I sent him, like I called him or sent him a voice note or something कि here's something that we could do, it might be super exciting, and he just went like,
हुँ, हुँ.
yes, let's try this. and it and it sort of became the outro,
Of the song, right?
like
Yeah.
the guts of the outro were created like this कि it wasn't just ये मेरी riff है और तुम सब बच्चे हो and
हाँ.
shut up. It was also, yes, that's a good idea, I like it, let's do that.
But would
And
he would he would he go on, like, would he then in the same vein identify something and kind of like back himself? कि नहीं यार, ये this is actually good, not out of uh, arrogance, but more out of कि नहीं यार, I actually feel कि this is better.
I know, absolutely. I mean, जितना ज़्यादा ही मसलन enthusiasm मेरी थी या हैदर की होती है, असफर की होती है, किसी और की होती है about an idea. If you believed in an idea, उतनी ही, you know, if you believed in an idea, he would emphasize that
हाँ
confidence or that belief. So it wasn't also कि you know इन बच्चों ने जो करना है वो कर लें, मैं तो चुप
हाँ
रहूंगा. It was a nice balance between
राइट
just you know guiding us or helping us along, but also maintaining an open enough door that we felt comfortable communicating. I mean, I quite frankly, that's sort of in a collaborative environment. I think that is the sort of leadership that's needed.
या
Is
या
कि you know your tribe doesn't get lost, but your tribe doesn't also feel कि you're choking them.
राइट राइट बड़ा एक मुश्किल वैसे ये काम है क्योंकि आई एम इन फाइनेंस एंड बिजनेस मेरा बैकग्राउंड लाइक प्रोफेशनली वो है तो हमें ना ये चीज़ बड़ी क्योंकि व्हेन यू लीडिंग टीम्स दैट्स अ वेरी फाइन बैलेंस राइट कि आप बॉसी भी होना पड़ता है कभी कभार बट देन ऑल्सो यू हैव टू बी फ्रेंड्स विद द पीपल दैट यू वर्क विद सो आई
Yeah,
एम सरप्राइज्ड कि I don't know what academic background Zulfi has, or perhaps a lot of these guys have had that education. But I think he went to Napa, right?
he went to
Zulfi.
fast.
Oh, actually, really?
Yeah, he's a
That's why he's so
fast grad.
technical. Freaking hell, that's why he's so
I
technical.
think the members of EP met when they were studying in FAST, or like half of them were studying in FAST or
Oh,
something.
really? Okay, I did not know that. मुझे लगा था कि ये सारे वो क्या कहते हैं नापा वगैरह में मिले थे क्योंकि I think Fawad was probably I think in Napa or maybe he was shooting there or something जिनका शो नहीं आया था Jet and Bond वो वाला
It is incredibly possible that that might be it. Like मुझे भी, I'm
मुझे भी
really
हाँ I
bad
don't
at
know.
remembering
But
details.
anyway, but लेकिन point was कि like it's very interesting to see musicians with such I would say quote unquote worldly traits जो कि समझ लो कि serious life या quote unquote serious life में हमें देखने को मिलती हैं कि यार leadership और क्योंकि ज़्यादातर skills पे होता है ना musician is all about skills and
I do resent the implication in what you're saying though.
I know, but I say this with the utmost respect to what you guys do. लेकिन ये एक इमेज तो ऐसी बनी हुई है ना कि यार ये तो लाइक ये तो स्किल बेस्ड एक चीज है या एक समझ लो कि एक व्हाट यू कॉल इट कि आपके पास एक पर्सनालिटी होनी है लार्जर देन लाइफनेस जो कि अदर फील्ड्स में ये चीज वर्क नहीं करती यू कांट बी अ लार्जर देन लाइफ अकाउंटेंट
I
राइट
mean,
आई मीन यू
मैं
कैन
सिर्फ
बी
ये
बट इट
कहूँगा,
डजंट वर्क देयर
you know, but मैं सिर्फ ये कहूँगा कि मैं टुनटुना बजाता हूँ is not the sum total of all that I am. Like I
हाँ
mean,
एब्सोल्युटली
I'm
नो नो
so I
नो
mean,
सो
we're capable of doing things other than the tuntunas that we play.
And you are, I mean, absolutely. I think that's an interesting segue into also another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I will talk to you about the Battle of the Bands, journey as well because that's very close to my heart. But like, just the fact that you mentioned care or capable of other things, do you think it's it's what do you call it कि ये एक डिसएडवांटेज है पाकिस्तानी म्यूजिशियंस की या एडवांटेज है कि दे आर एबल टू डू अदर थिंग्स लाइक अभी आपने सीजन में देखा होगा कुक स्टूडियो में एक बंदा गिटारिस्ट भी है एक बंदा प्रोड्यूस भी कर रहा है एक बंदा पीछे वो मिक्सिंग भी कर रहा है वुल्फी कैन डू फ्रिकन एवरीथिंग ही इज लाइक probably an engineer to a lead guitarist all everything in between and singer as well he can sing तो ये सब चीज़ें इज़ इट कि ज़रूरी है कि पाकिस्तानी म्यूज़िशियन को इतना मल्टी फ़ैसेटेड होना या यू फ़ील कि यार कि क्योंकि एक म्यूज़िक इंडस्ट्री इज़ नॉट ट्रीटेड एज़ अ प्रोफ़ेशन इन पाकिस्तान, ऑब्वियसली आप लोगों की अपनी साइड हसल या इज़ दिस योर साइड हसल व्हाटएवर यू कैन वांना रिलेट टू इट बस बिकॉज़ कि एक सिचुएशन ऐसी बन चुकी है कि यू आर रिक्वायर्ड टू डू अदर थिंग्स प्लस म्यूज़िक तो आप एक ऑटोमैटिकली मल्टी फ़ैसेटेड होना आपके लिए जीन्स के अंदर आ जाता है। व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दैट?
ये थोड़ी सी ये बड़ी सी बात है. So what I'll do is I want to like hit on some parts of it,
हाँ, हाँ, प्लीज़,
and
प्लीज़।
hopefully मैं भूलूंगा नहीं कि मैंने बाद में क्या बात करनी थी, पहले क्या बात करनी थी.
सही, सही, सही।
But एक तो I think it's a consequence of 21st century life, and it's not a Pakistani thing as much as this is how the world is now.
ओके।
कि um, इतनी oversaturation है of musicians or
हुँ,
itni large market, and it's so easy to open up Spotify or YouTube and just find anybody. But the problem is there's so many anybody's कि either उनका कोई unique gimmick हो या you know आपको उनका नाम पहले से पता हो, and उसका जो consequence हुआ है वो ये हुआ है कि um, it's my impression is कि it's very easy to enter the market as a musician, but it's now
हाँ, हाँ,
gotten much harder to be noticed, which is
यप,
why you are less likely to be financed or sponsored by a label or a record company.
Right.
और उसका consequence क्या है कि DIY is what you
Uh,
need to do if you want to make your music without breaking the bank. So, for
yep.
example, in the Bayan context, like we've all had to slightly diversify our roles. So, one of
Mm,
the band members serves as our de facto manager
yep.
instead of us having an external sort of manager.
Yep.
जो de facto engineer है बयान का वो that's me. So हमारे जो jam room
Yep.
में सारे जो setup है, and if we ever want to record a demo, so for example जो हमने quarantine sessions record किए थे, yeah, we also did did
Yeah.
like a studio version of our sort of a cover of Aaj Bazaar में. So like I
That
was
was
the
brilliant, by the way.
oh, thank you very much. So I was the producer. और लाइक जिस कंप्यूटर पे इस वक्त बैठ के आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ इसी कंप्यूटर पे वो प्रोजेक्ट्स मिक्स हुए थे और
बने थे
मास्टर
सही.
हुए थे.
सही सही.
And I mean it's fun, but it's not what I really wanted to do. I just wanted to play music, and then it turned out I
Right.
mean ये भी अगर मैं करूँ तो I am making it easier for Bayan to just keep putting stuff out there that people would listen to. So एक तो मैं कहूँगा it's a 21st century thing. So Periphery is a very very prominent progressive metal band in the US, and उस तरह के हो गए हैं कि they do headline shows, लेकिन
Uh-huh.
वो अपनी albums खुद produce करते हैं.
They don't need a record
Literally,
label.
um, it's not that they don't need a record label, it's that they never got picked up by a record label. So they got so
अच्छा
used to
सही.
being a DIY unit कि अभी भी वही कर रहे हैं.
ठीक है.
एक तो ये हो गया, एंड देन उसमें मैं ये भी ऐड कर दूं कि म्यूजिक सेल्स और स्ट्रीमिंग जो रेवेन्यू है it's nothing. So even Periphery, all of them have side hustles apart from music जहाँ से वो पैसे कमाते हैं. I think उनका जो main songwriter है मिशा मंसूर, one of the ways that he generates his income is कि he partners with guitar pedal manufacturers. So he has like
Okay.
signature pedals and वो design करवाता है, or he helps design them and stuff, and he gets some sort of money out of it. So that's one
Right.
example. So the next bit that I want to talk about is the financials of music. This is particularly true in Pakistan, but I think it's also generally true
Mm,
out there. Okay, musicians don't make money; celebrities make money. Um,
true.
and in the Pakistani case, though, it's very rare, I would argue, okay, a musician transitions into being a celeb. Or celebrities किस तरह पैसे कमाते हैं, like I can tell you, like celebrities किस तरह पैसे कमाते हैं इसके, I'll
Endorsements.
appear I'll appear in your ad, I'll appear in your film, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll come and I'll do like a public appearance for a fee. That's
Uh-huh.
primarily, in my opinion, where they generate their income. So the rest of the sort of musicians crowd, वो क्या करेंगे, वो सेशन वर्क करेंगे एज सेशन प्लेयर्स, या वो प्रोडक्शन का काम करेंगे, या वो जिंगल्स बनाएंगे.
Right. ये भी होता है. That's true.
And then beyond that, it's just, I think almost all of us have jobs. I mean, in Bayan, every member of Bayan has a job outside of music. And in my particular case, I am never going to quit my day job because I don't want music to be my source of income.
Why not?
Because then मेरी रोजी रोटी is connected to me being able to figure out कि ऐसा कौन सा मैं गाना बनाऊं जो लोग सुनना चाहें, versus मैं कौन सा गाना बनाना चाहता हूं.
Acha, like basically supply and demands. You don't want to be part of that economics जिसमें supply अगर sorry अभी अगर लोग दिन चिक टाइप के गाने सुनना चाह रहे हैं तो you don't want to make it just because people want to hear it.
Yeah,
तो
exactly.
it's a weird thing, right? क्योंकि what I understood from afar कैसा होता है कि यार जैसे Radiohead का बड़ा एग्जांपल दिया जाता है कि they're so like ओरिजिनलिस्ट्स या समझ लो क्या कहते हैं उसे यार कि बिल्कुल ही कॉर्पोरेट वो नहीं करना, हम बिल्कुल ही
Yeah,
पाक सफाफ टाइप के लोग नहीं होते। तो मैं उनको उस लेवल पे रखता हूँ कि वो बिल्कुल एक्सट्रीम लेवल पे जा चुके हैं आई थिंक इन माय ओपिनियन।
right.
तो कुछ हम मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि म्यूजिशियंस आर लाइक कि जो लोग म्यूजिक बना रहे हैं दे आर लाइक पैशनेट अबाउट इट, दे आर लाइक लव इट और ये सब चीज़ें। द फैक्ट दैट यू सेड आई डोंट वांट इट टू बी माय डे जॉब इज दैट ए almost kind of like a you know एक रिवर्सल नहीं है कि यार आई एम पैशनेट बट देन आल्सो डोंट वांट इट टू बी माय डे जॉब। तो how do you describe that feeling कि दिमाग में वो कि कैसे do you how do you make sense of all of that?
I'm setting myself free by deciding कि म्यूजिक और रोजी रोटी दो अलग चीजें हैं.
Okay. तो
That's
बेसिकली
pretty much
उससे
it.
it's essentially just to make sure कि it's a risk-free kind of like a passion project kind of thing. Just you're not thinking about profit and loss. You're just thinking about having fun
Hey,
in essence.
music brings me joy. That's pretty much it. Listening to music, creating it, performing it. Um,
Right.
एक बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है कि I'm in a band जिसका music it resonates with a certain
So many
type of
people.
audience, and it makes me
Yeah.
so happy when they come out to the shows and stuff.
Right.
Um, but like, and it's also kind of cool कि थोड़ा सा like Spotify के थ्रू रेवेन्यू आ भी जाता है. वो मैं इतना ही
Mm.
है कि मैं हार्डीज का बर्गर खा लूँगा 2-3 दफ़ा.
Seriously.
It's peanuts actually. It's actually depressing. कि like
How less it is.
revenue streaming revenue कितना होता है. And Bayan is still like I wouldn't say कि हम कोई like super mainstream band है in terms of our like statistics.
Uh,
But we're still, I mean, we've cracked a
quite decent,
million
yeah.
on
Yeah,
Spotify,
absolutely.
we've cracked a million on YouTube, and उसके बावजूद I'm telling you कि sustainable income छोड़ें, livable income नहीं है streaming revenues से.
वाह! तो उसका क्या रीज़न है? इज़ इट बिकॉज़ कि पाकिस्तान मार्केट का मसला है, या अभी तक उन्होंने, क्योंकि आई थिंक फेसबुक का भी सेम इश्यू है कि वो इतना इतना रेवेन्यू वो नहीं देते परसेंटेज टू
I think
फेसबुक,
Facebook पे तो है ही नहीं.
सॉरी फेसबुक नहीं, यूट्यूब की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं। यूट्यूब पे इतना रेवेन्यू नहीं मिलता पाकिस्तानी कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स को एज़ अपोज़्ड टू फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल इंडिया में फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, और
Yep.
यूएस के अंदर। तो इज़ इट बिकॉज़ ऑफ दैट, और इज़ इट बिकॉज़ के लोग सुन नहीं रहे इतना, लाइक यू नॉट यूजिंग दैट प्लेटफॉर्म इन पाकिस्तान एज़ मच?
I mean, I'd say it's a semi mix of the two, and here's what I mean. एक तो number one, from what I understand, पाकिस्तान में YouTube के जो ad revenue की जो breakdown है,
हाँ,
it's not nice for creators. Like it's not very
हाँ, फ़ेवरेबल।
generous towards, yep, it's
हाँ,
not favorable towards creators. But also number two, I'd say कि Bayan hasn't, we're not a viral song band. Like जो हमने millions hit
हाँ,
किए हैं, it's taken us a while to get there.
ऑर्गेनिकली।
And exactly, or organically is the word that I'd use. But also beyond organically, for example, I'd say I don't think we have like a song जो नहीं होता जो एक viral sensation हो जाता है और फिर हर
हाँ,
इश्तिहार में भी वो आने लग जाता है
हाँ,
और हर बॉय की गाड़ी में भी वो बज रहा होता है. And it's, I mean, it's usually I guess
नॉट लाइक
catchier,
पसूरी
soft
फॉर
as.
एग्ज़ाम्पल दीज़ डेज़ जो चल रहा है, पसूरी बेसिकली बिकम
हाँ
काइंड
नहीं
ऑफ
बिल्कुल.
दैट।
So वो तो पसूरी is वो तो एक phenomenon बन गया है
फिनोमेना
ना.
बन
वो तो
चुका है,
like I
हाँ।
mean वो तो world over उस गाने का scene on हो गया है.
हाँ,
Um,
एब्सोल्युटली।
but yeah, I guess Pasuri would be an example of a song that just वो बस घुस जाता है.
हाँ, आपकी
एक
नसों में घुस जाता है।
at a point in time
नसों।
बस नसों में घुस जाता है और फिर नहीं निकलता. So
सही,
I
सही।
don't think we have any songs like that as, and it makes sense, dude, because a lot of our music is like, I mean, you know, you've gotten home from the party or about wind
राइट।
down कर रहे हैं and you want to feel a little depressed or something. That's when you put Bayan on.
I would say depressed. I think your songs are pretty thoughtful. So it's not like depressing, but it's more, it helps people, like personally it helps me think, helps me relax, but then also I enjoy them, genuinely enjoy them. Like Gadi maybe if I'm listening to them, it's not like, yeah, I have to be in a certain mood. For example, Mehram is one song which I love, to be honest, but I can't play that every time. It requires it to be a like कोई separate mood हो तब मैं play करूँगा उसे. Unfortunately I can't play it at all times, because it's just like, आपकी दिमाग में चढ़ जाता है एक तरीके से, in a good and bad way both.
Yep.
But just going back to the music, I think personally are not that kind of a musician in your own right, Kitu, who would, I would feel like would produce something for like laid back, chilled out vibes type music. You're a certified rocker, right? So how do you like marry that with by what's Bayan producing? What kind of expression are you giving through Bayan essentially of your
Um,
art form?
okay, so एक तो like I find it sort of interesting कि a lot of the music that I listen to is usually very like hard
Anti Bayan.
hitting. I wouldn't say anti-Bayan as much as I mean, for example, a lot of the music that I listen to lyrically is in the same ballpark as want to talk about something more serious and more meaningful. A lot of
Uh-huh.
it is heavy, um, but at the same time, I also listen to a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily heavy. For example, you mentioned Radiohead. I love Radiohead, uh,
Yep, yep.
and Radiohead ki like second album ke baad, to I wouldn't say that they've made anything quote unquote heavy. They've made really weird stuff,
Weird stuff. Yeah,
but I wouldn't
yeah,
say heavy. So that's one. So you'd actually be surprised at some of the stuff that I record by myself as well. Like it's really mellow.
yeah. Okay.
So I think, but
तो
of
वो ऐसा
course,
नहीं है कि
also,
वो कोई आपको बिल्कुल you have to like आपको अपनी मारनी पड़ती है वाली
हाँ ना ये बिल्कुल नहीं,
creativity
because
to be part of band.
because if I had to do that, I'd quit. I mean, again, रोजी रोटी का मसला नहीं है. The day
हाँ,
Bayan stops giving me joy, yeah, the day it stops being fun, I'm out. I mean,
right.
I'm not stuck there, right? That's the best
Absolutely.
part about not. वो जो नहीं होता कि बस ये तो करना पड़ेगा. With this
हाँ.
band कभी भी ये नहीं मुझे फेस करना पड़ेगा कि बस ये तो करना पड़ेगा, गुजारा
नहीं,
करना
नहीं, नहीं,
पड़ेगा,
हाँ.
whatever.
That's yeah, that's good. बोलो, बोलो,
Um,
बोलो.
and in the Bayan sort of creative process, काफ़ी democratized सा scene है. And for the most part, you know, जहाँ creative friction होती भी है, तो the idea is to serve the song, and
The
the better
song, yeah.
argument wins out. So, for example, one thing that we try to do is, if we're working on a song, if a member has an idea,
Hmm.
उसने verbal conversation of the idea पर हमने नहीं रुकना. Idea try करना है. Try करने के बाद, then did it feel, how did it feel? And if it didn't feel nice to like a majority, तो फिर idea scrap हो जाता है. मेरे ideas बहुत scrap हुए हैं, understandable reasons, but in the Bayan context, any time you hear something and you feel कि it's a little weird, that's
Right.
probably Shahrukh, I guess. Yeah.
जैसे कि I think it reminds me of the time when we were reviewing Bayan's the album. So we talked
Yeah,
about like
Daira's mind.
Daira.
Yeah.
Like मैं बताऊँ like if you go back to that episode, I was kind of pro Daira. I was like it's fine. I think ये थोड़ा सा एक left turn आनी चाहिए because एक सीधा सीधा टाइप का चलता आ रहा था, then थोड़ी सी left turn होनी चाहिए थी. The my co-host like Naved and Zain were kind of like it doesn't fit in the album like per se. But honestly, वो वैसे going back to that, who started that? Obviously you would have come up with a riff and then who came up with the lyrics, or who, what was the creative process of that song particularly like in the context of the album? I'm pretty sure you had an idea what an album would look like at that stage.
Um, so yeah, kind of. So we'd gotten to the point where we decided on a release date, and we'd worked on a lot of
Oh,
the songs and stuff.
okay.
And we'd announced the release date before the album was done, because हमें था कि release date announce करें ना, deadline मिल जाए ना, तो
प्रेशर में काम होता है पाकिस्तानी
pressure
अमाउंट
में exactly
में.
pressure आएगा, inspiration मिलेगी. And then we were like, यार गाने कम है, like कुछ और
अच्छा.
चाहिए. And Daira, like the music of it, I think it's like 2 minutes and 40 seconds long or
हाँ ऐसे ही
something.
है, हाँ ऐसे ही है,
Um,
हाँ.
there was a 4 minute version of it जो मैंने सारा रिकॉर्ड करके रखा हुआ था, जो मैंने अपने आप से बस किया हुआ था. So it had bass, it had guitars, it had keys, it had drums, like everything.
अच्छा
और
सही है.
ये मैंने बॉयज को भेजा और मैंने कहा, ये लेट्स जस्ट डू दिस. ये फील अभी तक हमने नहीं डाली एल्बम में. Let's just do this. And the 4 minute thing, they sort of cut parts out of it, uh,
हम्म.
because I sometimes just enjoy, wait, like I said, weird parts.
हाँ.
So originally it was like a 3 minutes of odd time weird riffs, and then
हाँ,
for
हाँ.
1 minute it was just super chilled out, and it had like a cheesy 80s ka synth solo and jazz
Oh,
chords.
really?
And the boys were
Nice.
like, "यार ये क्या no."
थोड़ा सा
और
हौले हौला हौला आता.
and that was one thing, like I was so married to that thing because I'd put in so much effort कि I was like गालियों तक पहुंच के, I was like नहीं ये ऐसे ही करो, like नहीं ये ऐसे नहीं करेंगे, दिमाग इस्तेमाल करो थोड़ा सा. And so ये तो हो गया like the music.
The music, हाँ.
So the music of it, the all of the riffs, everything, like that was That's a Shahrukh production, which is why it is our least heard song. This is why you don't just put Shahrukh in charge of songwriting. And the lyrics were like, of course, Asfar came up with them.
Also, like, let me
And
just save the song with some serious lyrics here, please.
और
क्योंकि वो
it's
बड़ा
actually quite
serious lyrics हैं उसमें
oh,
वैसे.
नहीं बहुत serious lyrics हैं.
हाँ.
And वो भी like it was actually a mix of he was हमारा एक छोटा सा we had a bit of a fight. So
Okay.
part of the anger in the lyrics was like he was sort of letting out some steam. And there's also there was a bunch of stuff happening in Pakistan at the time. So I'm not going to say exactly who the song is about or who it's addressed to, but it's addressed to an older gentleman who was featuring prominently in the news at the time.
Ooh.
And fun trivia ये है कि uh, so fun trivia ये है कि उस गाने की जो vocals हैं, we layered a lot that is hard to, like, you can't really tell कि क्या हो रहा है, but
Okay.
I'm also whispering all of the vocals as like
हाँ,
a
हाँ.
harmony.
हाँ, नहीं, वो आ
And
रही आती है आवाज़. हाँ, मुझे आ
there's
रही होती है आवाज़.
also there's also little, ये बिल्कुल छुपाए हुए हैं, लेकिन there's like little snippets of me saying like cuss words throughout the song.
Seriously? Like,
Yes.
released version में?
And
Oh,
nobody
wow.
knows
I
until
have to.
now, so you get the scoop. Don't
Wow.
tell the boys I told you this.
Oh my
But
god, I have to listen to that again because I think
no,
I
the
have
thing is,
listened to the वो जो breathing वाली जो आवाज आती है वो तो मुझे आ रही होती है, but I don't remember cuss words.
you will not hear them. Like
Urdu,
you will
English.
not find them. I mean, वो तो अब सारा तो नहीं बता रहा ना मैंने,
अच्छा,
but like
अच्छा.
they're all over. But it's so low that like मुझे भी उनकी आवाज नहीं आती, but it's just I'm like ha 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 ha. Ha. We did
अच्छा,
it.
अच्छा, ओके. अच्छा, तो ये तुम लोगों ने एक तरीके से आप लोगों ने वो एक ईस्टर एग टाइप की सिचुएशन छोड़ कर रख दी थी कि यार
Yeah,
पता नहीं किसी को मिले ना मिले. Is the
exactly.
older gentleman alive or dead?
Uh, I think he's dead actually. Thank God.
Okay, so I think I know who that gentleman is. I'm not gonna name him, of course,
Yeah,
but I think I know who
let's
that.
not take the podcast in that direction.
No, no, exactly. तो वैसे इंटरेस्टिंग यू ब्रॉट इट अप क्योंकि उसमें थोड़ा सा एल्बम के अंदर जनरली मुझे एक एक रिलीजियस एलिमेंट भी दिखता है. आई थिंक इवन लाइक सुनो की लिरिक्स थोड़ा सा उस तरफ जाती हैं. इट्स ऑलमोस्ट काइंड ऑफ लाइक preaching to that part of the society which is kind of like shoving religion down your throats, और वो एक extremism. और क्या ऐसा है या do you feel like मुझे ऐसा फील हो रहा था कि कुछ गानों में ऐसा मुझे लगता है कि कुछ ऐसी बातें होती हैं through Asfar,
I mean, वैसे
Suno specifically.
ultimately तो I'd honestly say कि any song that you listen to is about whatever you think it's about. I mean,
Absolutely.
once it leaves like the author's hands or their
हाँ, हाँ.
mind, फिर तो it's fair game. Which is one
Mhm.
reason why I at least don't I don't like answering the question of what was that song about,
About, okay, अच्छा.
because that's what it was about for me. Um,
Okay.
you could literally put the five members of Bayan in separate rooms and ask them all ke flana gana kis cheez ke bare mein, and you might get five different answers because we
Mm.
don't necessarily agree either. And of
Right,
course, आप
right.
कह सकते हैं कि if Asfar has written the lyrics, then he is in the
तो वो
best position to tell you what the song is about. But he will only tell you what those words meant to him when he wrote them, which is
हाँ.
one reason why I think music and poetry is really important and powerful, and the transformative impact that it can have is magnified because it transforms each listener in a way that is unique to each listener, hopefully. As for your question though, मैं ये कहूँगा कि I wouldn't necessarily say that there's this overt sort of, let's say, conversation
preachy
on
vibe, yeah.
extremism or preachiness. But maybe for example, there are members of band who are they're incredibly spiritual in how
Okay.
they approach life.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, for example, Pani or Miti does take a shot, but not necessarily a shot at extremism as much as just a shot
No,
at
it's
like
Existentialism अपना यानी कि
just the frailty of humanity, I guess, or
right.
the flaws of humanity, or the hypocrisy of humanity, whatever you want to call it.
Is it
Um,
inspired by Mitti, by the way? Kind of like Mitti vibes? Mitti by
uh,
Junoon?
oh, no, I don't think so. Actually, like I mean, so Panier Mitti is Mansoor wrote the lyrics,
Yep,
and जो उसकी जो intro guitar है वो भी, that's also Mansoor.
yep. Yeah,
And
courtesy of Battle of the Bands पता लगा था मैं when you guys
right,
performed
right,
that.
right. There we go. See, old news. जो exciting news था वो दायरा का था, and वो जिसका जो outro bit था musically, that was just a jam that we used to do for fun, and then we're like, let's just add that in. So I wouldn't say कि, I mean, between the five of us there was never like a, you know, मिट्टी vibes आ रही हैं, June vibes आ रही
हाँ,
हैं. So
हाँ।
which is why like मैं कहूँगा कि I don't know, man.
सब्जेक्ट
I
मुझे
wouldn't
वैसा
say.
लगा था, लाइक नॉट नॉट सेइंग कि वो बिल्कुल वैसा, लाइक इट्स
Yeah.
कॉपी पेस्ट नहीं, नो वे, नॉट इवन क्लोज, बट मुझे ऐसी, क्योंकि उसमें थॉटफुलनेस उतनी थी जो कि मिट्टी के अंदर थी, तो आई वाज, क्योंकि मिट्टी की फेमस स्टोरी यही है ना कि आई थिंक सलमान अहमद गॉट इनटू एन एक्सीडेंट, लाइक वेरी
Oh,
लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग एक्सीडेंट और समथिंग, देन आफ्टर दैट ही रियलाइज कि यार ये तो बंदा ऐसे ही उड़ जाएगा कभी भी, तो दैट्स व्हेन ही केम अप विद दोज लिरिक्स, तो आई वाज जस्ट वंडरिंग कि जो पानी और मिट्टी है, maybe it came from a similar experience from Mansoor's side. Obviously, he'll probably be able to answer that best.
मैं
But
कहने लगता है, if there is an experience उसने मुझे नहीं बताया हुआ, so
acha.
maybe there's
No, but
something
it's a
there.
beautifully written song, nonetheless. So,
And also I just
um,
want to add just one
हाँ,
quick thing कि I
नहीं नहीं, आप
genuinely
बोलें
think कि like शेक्सपियर और गालिब जिस दुनिया में आकर चले गए हैं ना, बाकी और कोई इंसान आके कोई एडिशनल पोएट्री नहीं कर सकता. Like the rest of us are just rehashing Shakespeare and Ghalib, in my opinion.
नो नो, आई एग्री, आई थिंक क्योंकि वो थॉट, नया थॉट लाना बड़ा मुश्किल है, which also I wanted to also ask you about the songwriting process currently. I think वो जो मैं अब देख रहा हूँ new musicians में, and there's no comparison, I want to draw a comparison, but I think the closest thing I came up with when I was discovering or going through your album was the Kashmir album, which was I think came out similar एक दो महीने आगे पीछे, if I am remembering correctly. So I went through both of your albums side by side, and all honesty, Bayan wasn't like, कि I was like यार बयान की album मस्त सुननी है, क्योंकि मैं I was a Zaib guy when you guys were going at it one another, so I was a Zaib guy at the time.
Yeah, me too.
um, and we'll get to that as when we talk about Pepsi, but I think क्योंकि तो जब जब मैंने both albums साथ साथ रखी, तो मुझे ऐसा फील हुआ कि आई थिंक देयर वाज अ लिटिल बिट मोर रिलेटेडनेस इन बयान सॉन्ग राइटिंग, जिससे मुझे थोड़ा रियलनेस उसमें लगी, क्योंकि अब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि नॉट टू से कि कश्मीर वाजंट रियल, बट अब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि पीपल राइट सीरियस सॉन्ग्स जस्ट टू बिकॉज दे वांट टू हैव अ सीरियस सॉन्ग, कि यार हम ना थोड़ा स्पिरिचुअल गाना लिखते हैं, इट कांट कम फ्रॉम दैट इंटेंशन, राइट, कि यार अब मैं बैठूं, अब मैं पेन लेके बैठूं कि अब मैं स्पिरिचुअल गाना लिखूंगा, या अब मैं वो लाइफ एंड डेथ सिचुएशन वाला गाना लिखता हूँ, इट
Yep.
शुड, क्योंकि अब मुझे ऐसा ऐसा लगता है कि अब म्यूजिक ऐसे बन रहा है कि अब मुझे एक अपबीट गाना लिखना है, अब मुझे एक सैड गाना लिखना है, अब मुझे एक स्पिरिचुअल गाना, तो when you guys have come up with, I mean, I'm sure you guys are working on new stuff right now as we speak. What is the, like, are you going through different experiences in life and then trying to reflect that on the album, or do you like, how, what does that songwriting process look like for all of you guys?
Um, okay, so it's a good question, and again, इसमें यही है कि there's like an individual, or my individual approach to it, yeah, an individual's approach to it, and then there's how Bayan approaches it, and then there's also, it's also different when you're thinking about songwriting in an album context, because in an album context आप हर song को as a single separate entity भी नहीं सोच रहे, you also have to think about that collection of music, उस collection की आप क्या आप चाहते हैं कि वो cohesive हो, या क्या आप
Say,
चाहते हैं कि वो बस एक collection हो of islands. So in the
yep,
case of Suno, for example, we definitely wanted it to be a cohesive piece of music,
yep,
um, that
and it was.
had that had sort of thematic threads running through it, which is one reason why Suno jo album hai uske, there are lyrical ideas that keep coming up in a recurring
Mm,
fashion. You know,
yeah,
Bekhabar features starts with Mere Musafir, then we have a
yes,
song called Mere. I mean, it's all intentional. So it's not ke we had very few ideas, but it was more that we wanted this sort of
नहीं नहीं
flow to it. Alternatively, अगर हम बस कहते हैं कि it's just a collection of songs, it doesn't matter, like the album is just that, it's just a container. So then we might have approached the songwriting a little differently. We would have said कि each song is an island, each song is a separate universe, and
entity
it
हाँ
doesn't matter कि पिछला गाना कैसा था या अगला गाना कैसा होगा.
सही
This song matters. And number two, so of course, like when you approach a song, तो आप जो भी होते हैं at a point in time, वही being को आप वही being है जो गाना लिख रही है या गाने में कुछ चीज़ express कर रही है. And that's why it's good to be in a band जिसमें ज़रूरी नहीं कि पांचों की हालत एक ही तरह की हो.
हाँ
Like I'm sure it was hard for a lot of people, but for reasons besides COVID, 2020 onwards, like
हम्म
maybe like life was a bit hard for me,
yep
um, and it was showing in the sort of stuff that I was able to write. Yeah, also the stuff that I was unable to write. I
हम्म
mean, boys ने कहा था यार can't you come up with अभी मुझे याद है कि like यार थोड़ी सी happy चीज़ बजा लो, and I'm like नहीं आ रही इस वक्त.
right
Uh,
right
which is why it's great कि चार और लोग भी हैं, and you know, just at times you can take a step back, let somebody else uh, take
lead the
over. I mean,
way
yeah,
in the
exactly.
song
This was very rambly. I don't know if I actually answered your question though.
No, I kind of like you kind of did, but also I think एक सवाल इससे ये भी निकलता है कि when you are not in that mindset, for example, when Asper comes to you with a Bekhabar, right, which is kind of like a an upbeat or like hopeful song, and you are in a state of, let's say, uh, I don't know, Suno, or any sad state if you like. So how do you then how do you buy into that idea at the time, right? Because you have to play. At the end of the day, it's a cohesive unit. You can't just say यार मैं नहीं बजा रहा इस गाने पे क्योंकि मेरा मूड नहीं हो रहा, तुम लोग जो करना करो. Obviously you'll have to like find out. So how do you buy into those ideas? क्योंकि I'm pretty sure as Asfar writes these songs, he's coming up with his personal experiences या उसकी personal जो भी thinking होगी, and then he brings it to you guys. Is it easy to buy into it or harder?
Um, so the buying into a song's sort of lyrical theme is I don't know if this is going to sound odd, like in I start feeling it when I start connecting with a song once it's out and once we start playing it
Oh,
live.
wow.
So,
Okay.
so for songs जिनके साथ immediately मैं resonate नहीं करता, for example जो गाना है सुनो, the first
Mm.
time I heard it, हम I think मंसूर के घर पे थे and Asfar just played it, and I remember कि I just started like I lost my shit basically. I started like openly weeping.
Oh, really?
So yes, so सुनो एक गाना है
Wow.
जो अभी भी like when we play it live, so I kind of have to go off to the corner and you go like
Yeah, I
it's
can get
just a
it. Yeah,
song
it's definitely.
right. So that's a song that hit me just instantly.
Mm.
There are some songs जो while we're creating them मुझे इतनी vibe नहीं आती personally.
Mm.
Like ज़रूरी नहीं if we're five people, not all of us have to be equally into something at the same time.
Absolutely,
But so,
absolutely.
for example, Faryad, which was our most recent song, is
Yes.
definitely a song Joe in the jam room and in the studio, I wasn't really having the best time with it. But when
Okay.
we play it live, मुझे अब बहुत मजा आता है. And like live, there are sections where we debuted it in last October, and we've kind of played it at every show since. And in the middle, I get goosebumps every time when Asper says a particular line. और ये पहले नहीं हो ये जैम रूम में ये नहीं हो रहा था और स्टूडियो में ये नहीं हो रहा था.
So how do you get yourself across the line in that period? Do you is it visible to other band members कि यार ये बंदा is not like in it, or do you like ये बस आंखें बंद करके काम निकालो आज?
Oh no, we've all been friends long enough कि जब कोई एक बंदे like पता चल जाता है अगर बंदे की vibe आज सही नहीं. And it's not always me. I mean, sometimes another member isn't really feeling it on a day.
Right.
और जितने ज़्यादा मेरे आइडियाज़ रिजेक्ट हुए हुए हैं because the dudes just weren't feeling it. I mean, it's okay, it happens. um,
Ah.
so Faryad ke bhi case, maybe even though we like at the time I wasn't super feeling it. Like again, it was like, I'm listening to it and we go like, here's something that we can do with it, and go like, ye try kiya, nahi feel आई, here's something we can try. तो
Mm,
वो तो एक process होती है. Like for example, people who love to go to the gym, there are days
right.
जब मूड नहीं होता, लेकिन फिर भी
Ah,
वहाँ जाके they can get a workout done. सो
right, right.
एटलीस्ट जो मैकेनिक्स हैं उस प्रोसेस के, उस उन मैकेनिक्स को तो आप फिर भी फॉलो कर सकते हैं, एंड यू कैन स्टिल गेट सम स्टफ आउट ऑफ इट.
Absolutely. No, that completely makes sense. I think going to back to Pepsi Battle of the Bands, where you guys came. First of all, I think after Basement, was it you know a conscious decision कि यार अब हम ये चार पांच लड़के हैं and we will form a band and this is going to be our ideology and Bayan and या ये एक randomly एक situation ऐसी बन चुकी थी कि it became kind of like a band situation.
It's sort of somewhere between. Actually, I wouldn't say the first one, because the first one sounds very sort of, I don't know, very artificial sounding. So what happened was
Uh,
season 2 जब हमने किया, by that time हम पांचों, मुकीत के अलावा, मुकीत wasn't in basement, but जो हम बाकी चार थे, हैदर,
Same,
मंसूर,
same.
असफर, myself,
Yes.
हम एक sort of unofficial बस unit बन गए थे, because we all got along really well,
Hmm.
and we would just hang out at Mansoor's a lot. I mean, like one of my fondest pre-making Bayan memories is, do you remember the horror film Insidious?
Yeah. I think I remember that one. Yeah.
So हम पांच plus a few other friends just spent the night at Mansoor's, और Insidious हमने देखी थी, और हम सब की पैक हो रही थी, because that film is very so
Like
um,
shock
so I
value
mean,
बहुत ज़्यादा है उसमें.
exactly, so I mean, this was the sort of stuff that we were doing. We weren't even like making music together or jamming together. We were just hanging out a lot. And around this time, I think Asfar had, written the lyrics to Nahi Milta, and usne Haider ko dikhaya tha, here's something that I'm working on. And then Baat mein just became we're always hanging out all the time anyway. So let's give this a shot. And Nahi
अच्छा
Milta, we're like,
नहीं मिलता basically kicked off your guys' journey with Bayan.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, musically speaking, yeah. Because I mean,
Musically, yeah.
अगर नाम बयान ना भी होता, तो ये group of friends ने तो रहना ही था,
हाँ,
to
हाँ,
some degree. So and then by the time nahi, I mean, we still weren't a band. It was like, let's try this, ये project है, अब गाना निकालते हैं, why not? And then उस
हाँ.
why not से by the time जब गाना रिलीज होने के टाइम आया, तो we were like, यार, I guess we're a band now. नाम भी कोई रख लेते हैं.
That's good. I mean, it's a very interesting thing because नहीं मिलता kind of sounds like a song which I would assume कि यार कि which would probably would have been like your origin stories का अगर theme अगर हो तो वो यही होगा. Forward to Battle of the Bands, was it again like a very conscious decision कि यार let's go in there, or was it like a let's try this out and see if we can get some spotlight in the on the internet or on TV? Yeah, you went in with like a because you guys, I don't know, you remember this pretty well. I guess you didn't have like the most right off the bat like loud start on that season, and that was a Tamasha season too. Tamasha was getting standing ovations left, right,
हम
and center.
हम basically जलील हो के जीत गए accidentally.
I mean, I know. I just wanted to
um,
understand, ke, how did that feel? When you were going through it, and I think at most of the episodes you were at the bottom three.
yes, which meant uh, हम like मजाक मजाक पे ये कहते हैं कि that was the secret plan, because we have twice as much content as everyone else.
Oh yes, that's true. You got to play more essentially,
Exactly.
and got to show yourself more.
So हर episode में we got two songs where everyone else just got one. Ha ha ha. देखें कितना अच्छा plan है हमारा.
Zabardast, zabardast.
Um, नहीं, so एक तो like one एक funny बात ये है कि they reached out to us for season 2, if I remember correctly, and
They
we
reached
said
out
no.
to you. I thought, yeah, you have to apply for it.
Well, you have to apply, but they also do scouting.
Acha. So who
Because
was in the scout from
I
Pepsi?
honestly don't remember exactly who it
नहीं
was.
बेसमेंट वाले कोई बंदा था जो वहाँ पहुँचा था जिसको पता था तुम लोगों के बारे में कि like these guys are like really good.
No, I think they just asked around in their circle, in
अच्छा
their music circles, कि up and comers कौन है. And by
Okay,
this
okay,
time
okay.
we'd released like about हमने I think 4 गाने release कर दिए थे. हाँ we released 4 songs by then.
हाँ 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 हाँ.
We were active in the sort of the live show circuit. तो
सही सही
वही like मुझे नहीं लगता कि like there's this mid tier जो underground नहीं है लेकिन super mainstream भी नहीं है, like
सही
बीच में
सही.
जो होते हैं, तो we were like
Up and
somewhere
coming में
there.
हाँ.
Um, so they reached out and asked about whether or not we'd be interested in doing it, and we said no because
अच्छा
logistics उस साल they just weren't lining up for us. So
अच्छा.
they were kind enough to just sort of reach out again the following year,
Oh really? Okay.
and we said yeah sure. And um, I mean we didn't go in with the bus bro हम जीत जाएंगे, लेकिन
हाँ.
ये भी नहीं था कि हर एपिसोड में रगड़े जाएंगे.
वैसे हाउ इज दैट, हाउ डज द शो वर्क? क्योंकि मेरे दिमाग लाइक लुकिंग आउटसाइड हमें बड़ा एक वो लगता है कि एक बैंड आया परफॉर्म किया फिर दूसरा बैंड आया परफॉर्म किया, या इज इट मच मोर लाइक अगर if you were a viewer from outside, would you feel like yeah नहीं यार that's sausage making business I don't want to see? कैसा लगता है लाइक अंदर being on that other side कि बड़ा एक बहुत मैकेनिकल है या एक थोड़ा सा एक वाइब्स हैं, क्या है सीन उसका?
So, unfortunately, any production that's being made for television, yeah, really any sort of big production like this, I wouldn't call it like an assembly line or like a sausage making factory. But what I would say
हाँ.
is time बहुत लगता है.
अच्छा.
So the actual challenge was कि by the time आपकी बारी आती है to do anything, like आप सुबह 9 बजे पहुंचे हुए हैं set पे, and you just have to be there because they can call you in at any time, and
राइट.
then they call you in at like 6 p.m. or 2 a.m. the next day,
वो
and then you have to जिस एनर्जी के साथ आप सुबह आए थे वो आप भूल चुके होते हैं कि मेरा नाम क्या है,
पूरा
मैं
दिन
कौन
गुजर
हूँ, किधर है.
गया.
So the actual challenge is in maintaining a kind of momentum through that production.
सही.
The good news though was कि the एक तो the production team generally awesome people. They were able to accommodate us with like a bunch of requests, and they didn't have to, but they were very kind to us. For example, I हम सब लाहौर बेस्ड हैं.
हाँ.
सबने सबने नौकरियों से 1 month like लीव मांगी हुई है. In my case मुझे लीव partially मिली थी. I still had to work. So they had
राइट.
a rule कि no cell phones and no laptops on the set, and they were kind enough कि उन्होंने मेरे लिए वो rule थोड़ा सा bend कर दिया कि they're like ठीक है इस कमरे में तुम आकर इंटरनेट और अपना फ़ोन वगैरह यूज़ कर सकते हो, because you know तुमसे फील आ रही है कि तुम कोई लीक शीक चीज़ें नहीं करोगे.
ठीक है.
So so in that sense they were all nice to us, and they
अकोमोडेट
made
सही
like
सही.
they made the experience more comfortable for us.
दैट्स गुड.
Number two, the vast majority of the judges were actually super just fun to interact with off camera as well.
अच्छा.
So like generally, like Bilal Maqsood is a total sweetheart,
I know.
and I
Even
wasn't
when he's
ex-
giving, even when he's giving like guys a hard time, he's not
yeah,
like coming in with like Simon type vibes. He's like very
yeah.
nice about it.
And wait, like and the part that I mean the part that frankly surprised me very much was that was also his energy and his vibe when the camera wasn't rolling. So the dude
Hmm.
is legit, like he's real.
अच्छा.
um, I mean, ये नहीं था कि कैमरे पे he's like this and then the camera switches off and then he's just like सब साइड पे
He
हो,
doesn't.
मैं इधर जा रहा हूँ,
हाँ.
मेरा फलाना रेस्टोरेंट का फलाना टमकाना सैंडविच किधर है.
मिल ले आओ,
I mean,
हाँ मेरा खाना
yeah.
ले आओ.
In fact, like beach में was this very cute interaction happened where somebody asked him कि would you like to do a wardrobe change, and he just went like ठीक है यार मैं ये black t-shirt उतार के दूसरी black t-shirt पहन लेता हूँ. I was
Yeah,
just
he
like
was wearing a lot of black t-shirts.
I was like I love this energy, I love his vibe, and he was just generally again he was just very kind to us when he really didn't have to be.
Hmm.
There were also the off camera. We had some legendary sort of musicians and
Yeah.
who were mentoring us. So Asad Ahmed
Yes, I heard
is
about
one of
that.
them, and again he's just a super cool dude,
He comes
and
across as that way, yeah, too.
he's like a super cool dude. I mean, फील ये आती है कि वो 60s या 70s में से बस उठ के आ गए हैं.
आई नो।
Like I mean,
उनका एक
get
शो आता
chance.
था, आई डोंट नो इफ यू रिमेंबर, आग वाग पे, आई डोंट रिमेंबर किस चैनल पे या प्ले पे, ज़माने में जब हमारे म्यूजिक चैनल्स होते थे, व्हेन ही यूज्ड टू लाइक बेसिकली डॉक्टरी होती थी बेसिकली, ही वाज लाइक रिफ लेसन्स होते थे कि यार ये रिफ उस ज़माने में आई थी एंड देन इसका ये बैकग्राउंड था, ही वाज लाइक अ
So
डॉक्टर
you,
ऑलमोस्ट।
so okay, it's like he somehow missed the 80s and the 90s. He just
Slept through it.
he slept through it and just stepped in through the 70s. And maybe like he'll occasionally just out of the blue just do like a WhatsApp video call, like a jeep time pay, and you just pick the call up and he just go like, hello, kya haal hai? That's it.
Nice.
You
That's
just
great.
randomly check in
That
on us, and it's like very cool. So again,
that's fantastic.
सही है कि जितनी भी वो प्रोसेस ग्रूलिंग हो शो बनाने की, like there were a lot of cool fun people who were involved with it, and they made the process nice. And there was like a lot of, I mean, बैंड बजाओ चलो दफा हो टाइप सीन नहीं था, like at least
थोड़ा बहुत
परफॉर्मेंस
आपको
के बाद थोड़ा था
हाँ।
कि वो थोड़ा सा टाइम लगा रहे हैं, like they're not in too much of a rush.
What was the band going through in terms of feeling when, you know, I think Zerb were steadily going along, I remember, and then Tamasha was this like uh this huge find कि जो कि हर एपिसोड में स्टैंडिंग ओवेशंस ले रहा था, तो वो एक समझ लो कि आई थिंक एट वन पॉइंट इवन फैसल सेड कि यार आप तो फाइनल में लगता है पहुंच ही गए हो ऑलमोस्ट, क्योंकि दे वर लाइक गोइंग सो
Yep.
सो वेल। तो how are you guys feeling like यार, like how are we going to defeat one of them, क्योंकि एटलीस्ट कि चलो ज़रब वाज़ थोड़ा-सा लाइक स्टेडीली चल रहे हैं, ठीक है, उन वो बड़े कंसिस्टेंट थे, दे weren't मेकिंग मेनी मिस्टेक्स। एंड देन तमाशा ऑन द अदर हैंड तो बिल्कुल समझ लो कि फैन फेवरेट भी बन गए, सेंसेशंस भी बन गए थे, लाइक ऑब्वियसली उस वक़्त तो नहीं पता होगा आपको फैन फेवरेट कौन है, लेकिन बाद में तो यही हम लाइक एवरीवन वाज़ टॉकिंग अबाउट देम, लाइक जजेस के फेवरेट्स तो एटलीस्ट बन गए थे।
Yep.
टेबलों पे चढ़-चढ़ के फवाद अहमद ने फवाद खान ने तो वो बजाई हैं, ओवेशंस दी हैं। तो व्हाट वाज़ योर थॉट प्रोसेस लाइक? Like the band's thought process.
It was like, यार चलो गाने बजाते रहते हैं, let's see what happens. Because I mean, what else are we supposed to do, कोई it's
Like
not, हम
rethink your
chess,
strategies कि यार
नहीं
चलो दूसरा गाना कर लेते हैं यार थोड़ा।
मैं कहने लगा था कि like it's not chess and it's not, we weren't playing football or anything. It was like हमारे पास
हाँ,
गाने थे, and we were like, यार ये boys तो बहुत like लाडले बन गए हैं judges के, but हमारे पास भी गाने हैं, चलो ठीक है, let's play. um,
were there any decisions changed in the during कि यार क्या चल ये बजाते हैं क्योंकि situation is different now.
हमारे लिए आई वुड से सिचुएशन थोड़ी सी अपरूट इस तरह हो गई थी कि we weren't expecting to be in the bottom three right at the first episode.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what happened was
exactly, हाँ।
कि जो अगले एपिसोड का गाना हमने तैयार किया हुआ था, we had to play it one episode early.
Ooh,
And so जो हमारे जो बेसिक जो सेट लिस्ट थी, सो टू स्पीक, या ट्रैक
हाँ,
लिस्ट थी, वो लाइक हर दिन इट वाज अ स्क्रैम्बल फॉर अब हम रिप्लेस किससे करें.
hmm,
सो इट वाजंट इवन स्ट्रेटजी एज मच एज यार प्लीज कहीं से और गाना आ
survival,
जाए.
survival था।
And the last sort of bottom three song that we did, which was the Junoon cover of Azadi,
हाँ, आज़ादी, हाँ,
वो भी उसकी लिटरली कहानी ये है कि another band had already sort of selected it as their film day song,
हाँ, हाँ,
but they never got to that episode. If they had gotten to that
ooh,
episode, we wouldn't have been able to do the song because they had dibs on it.
oh,
And because they didn't
wow,
make it to that episode, unki dibs cancel ho gayi, and then we
हाँ,
could pick that song as our bottom three song. And that cover was made in like a 45-minute session. We booked a jam room in Karachi, and
हाँ,
we
हाँ,
went there, and it was like घंटे के लिए हमने book किया है, हमारे पास time है ही नहीं, इस घंटे के बाद हमने वापस जाना है. So we have
like
an
extra
hour.
recording पे।
Yes, we have to go back to set like घंटे के बाद, हमारे पास time ही नहीं
Hmm.
है. And it was, we have 60 minutes. Agenda ये है कि by the end of the 60 minutes we should have a short, snappy, to the point cover of Azadi.
Which
And
shows बयान-ness as well कि जुनून का बिल्कुल रिपीट वर्जन ना हो, ऐसा ना हो,
yeah, exactly. And then
राइट?
उसपे randomly we were like, what if we put like an Iron Maiden ish part in it with like these two part guitar harmony. We're like, कर लेते हैं. And
Yeah.
then I was like, what if we stop over here और national anthem के एक तो जरा tease notes में जाते हैं. Like, चलो ठीक है कर लेते हैं.
Nice.
So it was very, very like वो sometimes panic
Spontaneous.
can create inspiration and creativity. So
Absolutely.
honestly मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि इतना कम सोने का टाइम मिल रहा था कि ये जो है ना what were you thinking, I personally wasn't thinking at all. मैं तो बस ऑटो पायलट पे ही चल रहा था. एंड
When did you?
मेरा पेट भी
Yeah,
बहुत
go ahead.
ख़राब था, तो मेरा पेट भी बहुत ख़राब था, तो that was also occupying a lot. So I have a very very weak stomach, तो एनी टाइम आई ट्रैवल आउटसाइड ऑफ लाहौर तो मेरा पेट
Really?
खराब हो जाता है. And the problem is I also love a lot of food and a lot of spicy food. And if anybody goes
Uh,
like, here's a new thing, do you want to try it, I'll be like, I will try it, I don't care how much it wrecks my system. And we were in Karachi for a month. तो
right.
एक एक महीना मैं बेसिकली ORS पी रहा था और स्मेक्टा पाउडर के साशे डाउन कर रहा था बिकॉज
खत्म हो चुका था.
मेरा पेट छुट्टी पे चला गया था.
Oh my God, that makes it even more like puts things into perspective. When did you guys feel like okay, now this is we have a chance here, we have a shot? Was it after Tamasha left or क्या
I
सीन था?
mean, we got to the finale and we were like, अब सिर्फ हम और एक और बैंड रह गए हैं,
हाँ,
तो there's a 50% chance that we might actually win now.
mathematically.
Yeah. Like it could happen now. अच्छा nice यार.
अच्छा, I honestly thought कि after मिट्टी पानी and मिट्टी was I felt कि okay है ना, these guys now they've brought in their A game, क्योंकि वो बड़ा एक in my opinion was one of the ballsiest move that season कि आप अपना ओरिजिनल लेकर आए और वो भी ऐसा कि इट टेक्स अ टाइम. ऐसा नहीं है कि फौरन हिट करेगा, आपको हुक करेगा, उसी कोई रिफ है तो आपको थोड़ा टाइम लगता है सुनने में और समझने में. और प्लस फिर लाइक हैज इट्स ओन ऑरा अराउंड इट एंड यू प्लेइंग दैट इन अ सिचुएशन वेयर कि यार अब बस अब आर या पार वाला सिचुएशन है. तो जब वो प्ले किया था दैट वाज वेरी बॉल्जी. तो वर देयर डिस्कशंस अराउंड दैट व्हेन यू वाज लाइक थिंकिंग टू प्ले दैट कि नहीं यार चल कोई मसला नहीं है, एक मरतबा इंटरनेट पे आ तो जाए हमारा ये जबरदस्त सा गाना.
So ये एक तो before we went in we decided कि if we make it to this point we're doing the song,
ओके.
कि ये फिनाली पहुंच के करेंगे. लेकिन बीच में ये एंजाइटी शुरू हो गई थी एंड आई थिंक हमारा शायद एट वन पॉइंट गोल भी ये बन गया था कि लाइक पेप्सी बैट द बैंड्स जीतना नहीं है, लेकिन उस पॉइंट तक पहुंचना है कि ये कवर और ये ओरिजिनल गाना ये बस किसी तरह हमें बजाने का मौका मिल जाए. सो
ओके.
सो आई थिंक हमें बीच में जब था ना कि व्हाट इफ वी डोंट मेक इट, तब ये एंजाइटी होती थी कि मे बी वी शुड
जल्दी से प्ले
do the
कर दो वो.
song do the
हाँ.
song earlier, but we stuck to it. मुझे ये भी याद आ गया कि because there were only two bands left in the final episode, there was a lot more judges asking the band कि गाने के बारे में बताओ ये वो. And of course जितना भी वो shoot करते हैं वो actually air तो कम ही करते हैं. So
हाँ, हाँ.
they had the misfortune of making eye contact with me and going like, गाने के बारे में बताओ or something. So पहले बता दिया मंसूर का गाना ये है वो है, and
हाँ.
then one of them asked इतने serious lyrics क्यों ये वो. And I just went like, I don't know if you've noticed, but the world is a terrible place. Like it just sucks. And I'm glad they didn't air that, वरना मैं बहुत ही negative बंदा लगता.
अच्छा, तुमने कहा
And
चल
then
भाई ये वाला
and,
पोर्शन छोड़
and
दे.
then Asfar just went like, ये असल में बहुत depressed होता है हर वक्त.
That's hilarious. लेकिन वो वैसे yeah, it was एक आप लोगों ने I think you did something for the internet. You and Zarb kind of like played each other's song, and
Yeah, that
I
was fun. We
remember
did that with Mango Bars, I believe.
Mango Bars. Yeah, yeah, yeah. और मैं बताऊँ क्या? To this day, and no disrespect to you guys, I think they did the further version was really cool. Yeah, like I enjoyed that further version. Did you
Oh no,
did you remember that?
it was very nice. I loved like it was like a lounge version of Farda. उसकी
I
बड़ी feel आई
know.
थी.
मुझे बहुत फील है. मैं
Um,
कहा यार ये
and
वर्जन चाहिए मुझे यार मार्केट
and
में. ये
and
बड़ा
and
बेहतरीन वर्जन है.
and honestly, जो मैं ये कहूँगा कि जो potential है ना in our version of Diwar, because we
हाँ,
were like let's do it hard rock style. वो
हाँ.
ये बहुत ही on the fly idea construct हुआ था.
लग रहा था, हाँ, ऐसे लग रहा था.
Like generally the whole idea of do each other's songs बहुत ही
हाँ,
on the fly discuss हुआ था, and I think we got a little ambitious with what we wanted to do. So I still have that arrangement in my mind, and at some point, I really want to revisit it and record it properly.
Oh yeah, you should.
Because
You should.
इसकी feel बड़ी आ रही थी. But of course, the Zerb boys did a fantastic job with for
Are you
then.
guys in touch with them, their boys?
So uh, उन, I mean,
They're also Lahore
yeah,
based, right?
they
Most
are
some of
Lahore
them.
based, and इधर उधर बात होती रहती है. उनका जो ड्रमर है उसके साथ तो pretty much हर 3-4 हफ्तों के बाद मैं उसे गाली भेजूंगा इंस्टाग्राम पे, वो वापस गाली भेजेगा. फिर कहेंगे यार क्या हाल है, मैं ठीक हूँ, अच्छा कभी मिलते हैं, हाँ कभी मिलते हैं, चलो ठीक है. फिर होती है महीने में बात.
फिर गाली से
And
स्टार्ट हुआ.
and their bassist is a lovely artist. His Insta handle is, I think, at one in void. And I bought one of his pieces. Like it's up on my wall.
Oh, really?
So इस तरह, you know,
चलती
again,
रहती है
in
सब.
different ways बातचीत चलती ही रहती है सबके साथ. Uh, पर आपने वो जो उनका फर्दा कवर है उससे मुझे याद आ गया कि it was that day that really hammered home um, how important Mansoor is to the Bayan sound. Yeah, how
Hmm.
important drums are to the Bayan sound. Iske Mansoor plays a little weird. So he's not like a prog metal double bass machine type guy,
हाँ हाँ
but
हाँ.
वो he does slightly weird drums. And मुझे याद है कि जब वो कवर कर रहे थे, तो जब था कि फ़र्दा करो, तो आई थिंक द ड्रमर काइंड ऑफ वेंट लाइक, हम नहीं, वो तो लाइक ऑड टाइम में गाना है, तो लाइक वो तो अभी सीखना मुश्किल होगा. यू लाइक ऑड टाइम में तो नहीं है, इट्स 4/4. इज लाइक
Hmm.
नहीं, बट लाइक लिसन टू द ड्रम्स हियर, देयर इन ऑड टाइम. एंड वी वर लाइक, ओह नो, दैट्स जस्ट बिकॉज़ मंसूर इज प्लेइंग देम वियर्ड. अगर तुम यहाँ पर स्ट्रेट बीट भी बजाओगे तो इटल वर्क. सो लाइक इट
That's
वाज
why they changed the drum loop completely on that one.
या
क्योंकि वो थोड़ा different उन्होंने उसको lounge version type का किया था, which
या
was really
एग्जैक्टली.
impressive. I thought that was really
Right,
cool.
absolutely. I loved it. I didn't like. I had never pictured कि वो गाना इतना chilled
इस तरह
out हो
से भी.
सकता है, because
I know.
it's always been like a very upbeat pop song for me, and
Ah,
they
right, right,
turned it
right.
into like a, hey man, it's all
Just
good.
relax. It's all.
Yeah, like our
That
version
was,
is,
yeah.
yes, be happy, and there's this, hey man, be happy.
Two different ways to say the same thing. But yeah, I
Uppers
think you guys,
versus.
you guys really went at it. I think in that season, and to this day, I think it was uh, one of my favorite seasons and one of my favorite interactions between the two bands. What do you think about, like, there's this Lahore versus, not versus, but Lahore and Karachi music vibes. मेरा इस पे एक अन आई वुड से कोई रिसर्च नहीं की हुई है, लेकिन मेरी एक फीलिंग है इसके ऊपर. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आई एम फ्रॉम कराची, तो लाइक मेरा ऑब्वियसली लॉयल्टीज वहाँ पर रहती होती है मेरी, लेकिन बट आई जनरली हैव अ फीलिंग कि मुझे लगता है कराची म्यूजिशियंस आर मच मोर कमर्शियल, राइट? और लाइक कमर्शियल उनके अंदर एक, नॉट कि दे लाइक हंग्री फॉर मनी, बट एक कमर्शियल एस्पेक्ट उनके म्यूजिक के अंदर आ जाता है, विच इज different from Lahore musicians, just like you guys, like Zulfi, for example. अगर आप Zulfi का seasons उठा लें और then string का scene देख लें, it's a very stark comparison of Karachi style versus how a Lahore uh, musician would do it, right? तो कराची, जिसके पीछे रिसर्च भी मेरी सिर्फ यही है कि कोक स्टूडियो जो स्ट्रिंग्स कर रहा था was mostly like uh, covers or redoing of old generational songs, like Mehdi Hasan ka koi or whatever. ठीक है. तो ऑब्वियसली मैसिव हिट्स वो बन गए थे क्योंकि उनको सुनने वाले लोग ज़्यादा थे. Versus how Zulfi does it is more like artsy and much more like willing to take that risk for the sake of the art. Not saying one is better than the other, but I get that vibe. Do you get the same vibe from different musicians from different part of the country, Lahore and Karachi specifically?
Honestly, I wouldn't say कि मुझे इतनी कोई stark difference लगती है based on just the cities, but that's also because quite frankly I don't pay too much attention. For example, मुझे अभी पता चला है कि strings are from Karachi.
Are they not?
I don't know.
I mean,
Like
yeah. I mean, I'm
like I
my
mean,
assumption is pretty strong assumption is कि string is Karachi based.
and they very well might be, but like I didn't know that. Like I know Zulfi's Lahore based because I literally know where he lives because I went to his house to work on stuff.
You
um,
stalk him, but that's a different thing.
no, exactly, that's a completely different thing. What I do, what I do on my Saturday evenings is my
No
business and the
judgments.
business of Zulfi's guards.
And dogs, if he
um,
has any.
he does, I believe, yeah. um, but anyway,
Of
so
course
so I
you do.
wouldn't say कि उस तरह की ज़्यादा कोई distinction है. And that's also because honestly I haven't paid enough attention to where people are from. I also don't listen to as much Pakistani music as perhaps I should.
Oh, you're too cool
um,
for that.
यार मैं यही कहूँगा कि यार जिस दुनिया में पॉर्क्यूपाइन ट्री, स्टीवन विल्सन और मैस्टोडॉन एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, मैं तो खुश हूँ, मुझे तो मिल रहा है जो मैंने सुनना है. Oh, that reminds me, there is a new band called Moontooth. They are amazing.
Okay, nice. I'll
So
definitely.
good. So
Moontooth.
good. Like Moontooth. I mean, I don't know if you're into heavy music, but oh, such a good band. Okay, I'm digressing. They're not from Lahore or from Karachi. वो अमेरिका में से कहीं है.
Uh,
Um, but so yeah, I don't see that difference. But what I do see though is a general trend towards uh, like the lo-fi sound is in now. Like
yeah.
that's what people are like really digging aajkal, and I just
Give me
don't
an
get it.
example. Give me an example. Don't have to
um
like. Doesn't need mean कि आप कोई disrespectful होंगे, but just an example of what do you consider lo-fi?
so I'm specifically thinking about वो जो आपकी जो एक chilled out trap beat होती है. So for example,
Like Hassan Nadeem's of this world.
yeah, I guess that would be a good example, and that's particularly because we like Hassan's music sort of blew up, and
Yeah,
then it just meant कि like everybody's doing it now
everybody
apparently.
has to do it. Yeah, I know,
um,
right?
and उसका जो immediate जो issue होता है कि like that's it starts showing up everywhere, and again the market quote unquote gets saturated by it. um, and we like people can like what they like. This stuff just doesn't do it for me. So
But
मेरे
isn't it
कहूँगा
that like
लाहौर कराची का
isn't
तो मुझे नहीं पता, but this but like
ये
yeah,
वाला
and
take?
like I really I'm not into electronic music. So मेरी बस
Oh, you're
ख्वाहिश
not.
यही है कि I'm not an electronic music guy. And wait, it's not to like diss the art form, but अगर बंदे को
हाँ
अगर
सही है वो
बंदे
तो
को like शिमला
प्रेफरेंस
मिर्च
होता
नहीं
है.
पसंद तो उसे शिमला मिर्च नहीं पसंद.
हाँ नहीं ठीक है. So what did you think about the CS14 season then, which had a lot of electronic aspects?
I thought that it tapped very, I think it very intelligently tapped into a sound and a mode of music production that is super in these days.
Yeah.
And some of the results of that approach have been great. Yeah,
What is your
that would be.
favorite
Oh, Madam,
CS14 song? Oh,
Madam,
okay.
hands down. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's my guy's song. It's the best song on this season. Like
And your type as well. You're kind of like dark person in that regards as well.
hey, fair enough,
Sad and
but like all things considered, I mean, I don't even care if people think कि मैं बड़ा egoistic हो रहा हूँ या whatever. लेकिन my dude writes beautiful music, and
no question.
मैं अगर ना भी सुनता, मैं एक भी गाना ना सुनता CS14 का, मैं फिर भी आराम से कह सकता था कि जो भी मेरे बॉय ने गाना बनाया है वो बेस्ट है सीजन का.
No, no. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I think इस वक्त मेरी अभी जैन और नवेद से भी बात हो रही थी after the season when we. I think पाकिस्तान में इस वक्त I don't think there's a better songwriter than Asfar. I can't think of someone who's better than him at what he does.
I mean, you could look
Might be.
at the man who wrote Daira.
I mean, you're part of him, so by extension, you kind of like get some of the spotlight too. but the thing is कि क्योंकि songwriting again मैं जो पहली बात बोला था ना कि मेरे लिए बहुत important होता है. I think you probably also understand this कि when a music is more real, right? कि बड़ा एक लगता है कि हाँ ये बंदा when he's saying that he probably has gone through something like this in his life. That's very important to me. Not कि यार आप बस एक song बना दें about any kind of awareness or any it feels like yeah commercially आपने एक चीज को टिक करने की कोशिश करी है but it doesn't really really ring a bell or like मुझे कोई feel नहीं आई उससे. Asfar on the other hand when he says something I know he means it because he actually is writing through his heart. और मैं क्योंकि I'm a huge U2 fan Bono in his song, writing and construction is much very very personal, right? वो अपनी personal experiences he puts through that. Even rap music is similar that way, right? You can't जो rap musicians हैं वो अपने ही experiences ज़्यादातर share कर रहे होते हैं. That's why it kind of hits home to me in a different way, and others, they don't. But yeah, तो ये मेरा एक opinion. I think Asfar is definitely, there's no two ways about it. I think you're absolutely right. Asfar is one of the best, if not the best, right now.
I mean, I'll be sure to let him know. Like he always has this एक वो बहुत special तरह की smile आती है when he hears that people like him
Oh
as
yeah,
a
you should.
songwriter.
Yeah, I would love to have him on, man. He's such a, but he's very. I know he's very kind of like a पहाड़ों में गुम kind of a person, so I don't bother him as much. Like even क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कहीं बेइज्जती वेस्ती ना हो जाए, तो मैं जरा दूर रहता
नहीं नहीं
हूँ.
बेइज्जती बेइज्जती नहीं होगी लेकिन उस बॉय का इंस्टा बहुत ज़्यादा inundated होता है with stuff. Um,
I'm sure
like I
वो
mean,
hot
like I
hot चल
mean,
रहा होगा.
it's like I'm so glad. I'm so glad कि मैं अपनी individual capacity में कोई इतना known shown नहीं हूँ. इतनी अच्छी बात है. It means कि
You're a guitarist of a freaking band, man. How did that not cross your mind?
no no
Yeah, I
no.
want to be the poster boy.
I
Guitarists are
mean,
usually notoriously known for that,
yeah.
no?
बयान के जो 5 members हैं, the 2 guitarists are the ones with the smallest subscriber count on Instagram.
Well, I mean,
So
Mansoor
that's
kind of makes sense. Mansoor is a businessman, isn't he?
I
उनके पास तो
mean,
सीवी ज़्यादा आती होंगी कि सर प्लीज सी अटैच्ड.
lol. Maybe I'll ask him. No, man, I do not want to be the poster boy for anything. Being a poster boy means having a target on your face.
That's true. That is true.
I only want to be targeted for free food, even though my
byproduct
stomach
of
hates me.
byproduct of us for being the poster boy. You're happy with the crumbs, for example. You're able to get through that.
I'm not gonna say crumbs. That sounds
No, yeah, no, no,
I
no,
don't
but
know.
not. But I
Hey,
meant say.
but for example, Johnny and Jugnu started sending me free food because and they're so sweet. उन्होंने like कभी कभी वो तपे नहीं मेरे पे for eventually revealing to them कि मैं influencer बिल्कुल भी नहीं हूँ और मैं सिर्फ memes post करता हूँ on Insta. Like
अच्छा, तो
they
was the initial expectation that you would?
I mean, what you like, they must have reached out to different members of different bands और मैं like usually
हाँ,
जवाब दे देता हूँ because वो जो नहीं होती जब
हाँ,
आपकी वो notification आई होती है मुझे वो चुल है कि notification मैंने हटानी है किसी तरह.
हटा नहीं. हाँ, मेरा भी सेम है. आई
um,
नो.
तो
गायब करनी होती है मुझे.
they sent me like free food a couple of times and I did of course I would like put up an Insta story or something but I mean क्या 900,000 followers हैं मेरे eventually they realized कि यार इस boy का कोई सीन नहीं है ये कोई growth नहीं कर रहा जानबूझ के.
तो
uh,
फिर भी they're happy with you with free food. That's good.
they're just super nice people here and also Johnny and Joker is probably my favorite rap आजकल.
Really.
Hey, hey, Chipotle वाला rap यार. Oh, so good, so
Dude,
good.
now you're making me hungry as well. मुझे ना पाकिस्तानी खानों की याद ना दिलाया करो. मैं ज़रा फिर आई हैव टू लाइक, मुझे वो ठर्क पूरे करने के लिए यहाँ पर मुझे ना यहाँ पर अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नहीं है. तो आई स्टे अवे फ्रॉम दैट.
Oh, and maybe this might be a little cruel to you then लेकिन just to also emphasize how little I care about the Lahore Karachi divide is कराची का खाना बेहतर है लाहौर के खाने से.
आई मीन
And
दिस जस्ट लाइक असफर इज द बेस्ट सॉन्ग राइटर इन द कंट्री, और उस पर कोई डिबेट नहीं है, तो इसमें भी कोई डिबेट नहीं है ऑनेस्टली. मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको.
हाँ, no,
क्योंकि
I totally agree. अगर अगर आपको वो bourgeois खाना चाहिए like तो फिर I think Islamabad is probably a better
हाँ, हाँ,
bet.
but then
लेकिन
who has that?
when it comes to desi khana ना like your
Oh
your
yeah, yeah.
rolls, your wraps, your kadais and your biryani Karachi.
हाय रोल्स तो यार यहाँ मिलते ही नहीं है यार. बिरयानी और कढ़ाई शायद मिल भी जाए थोड़ी बहुत, लेकिन रोल्स तो नहीं मिलते हैं. इमेजिन करो यार, रोल्स नहीं मिलते हैं यहाँ पर. लाइक आपको पता है यहाँ पर रोल्स के नाम पे क्या बेच रहे हैं ये लोग? नान के अंदर वो सीख कबाब डाल के, नान के
Nice.
अंदर.
आप कनाडा में हैं?
नहीं नहीं, मैं यूएस में हूँ.
अच्छा. Oh,
कैलिफोर्निया, कैलिफोर्निया.
you don't even have universal healthcare यार यानी कि rolls भी नहीं है और healthcare भी नहीं है.
Exactly. Right. Those are the two top things that I wanted in my life. I was like healthcare, and they're like, nope, nope. Both of those we can't give you.
You get a
So
podcast. Be happy.
you get access to Spotify, and you can pay for that and all of that. But whatever. But just to round it up, I think what's coming up. Are we going to listen to new music from Bayaan soon? I know you guys are like been posting stuff recently, so I feel like ये थोड़ा सा activity बढ़ रही है. So what's that looking like?
Okay, so the scoop that you're getting from me, just to sort of end this session, is we are actively working on a bunch of potentially very cool and very exciting stuff.
Nice,
Hopefully, we will be sharing some of it uh, at some point over the summer.
nice.
And Abhi, there are a lot. एक होता है having all of your eggs in one basket. ये नहीं है, लेकिन इस वक्त वो अंडे सारे ऊपर से इस तरह आ रहे हैं, and we have to just make sure that we catch them correctly. So a lot of stuff up in the air, but hopefully things will work out, and we will have some super cool, very collaborative stuff coming out, and perhaps
Nice.
not just music.
Ooh, okay. So some other things too. Nice. Nice. That's definitely a scoop, man. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to reviewing it. I don't know how much of the review you listened to or you just forwarded to the part where we talked about Daira.
I mean,
But
I
what did
heard the
you
part जहाँ पे Daira was hated on, and I was like, ugh,
Man, come
these
on, यार.
guys. I
इतना
was like,
कसम
मैं अभी
से
podcast बंद करके मैं मैसेज भेजूंगा.
इतना उठाई है कसम से बयान की उसमें लाइक और दिस इज कमिंग फ्रॉम people like me who didn't go into listen to the album with an intention कि यार कि let's see. I was like यार चलो सुन लेते हैं, but it caught me, especially like azhik type situations जो आती है ना. Is it pronounced azhik or how's it pronounced, the first song?
I think it's Ajik
Ajik,
with a
what does that
with a
mean?
j. I think it is the Chitrali word for birth.
Hmm. See, very like artsy, Asfar stuff. Like definitely Asfar type stuff. But stuff like जब वो start हुआ ना मैं कहा यार this is interesting. This is like एक कोई different vibe है album की. तो I was like forced to listen to end to end उसी वक्त फौरन, like एक एक के बाद एक के बाद. और फिर उसके बाद like it's permanent part of my playlist, और मैं हमेशा उसके बारे में like मैं दोस्तों को भी बता रहा होता हूँ, तो मैं कहता हूँ यार ये अभी recent time में पाकिस्तानी एल्बम एल्बम अगर यानी कि अगर आप कहें ना कि एक प्रॉपर रिकॉर्ड जो होता है, आई डोंट थिंक उससे बेहतर कोई वर्क अभी रिसेंटली प्रोड्यूस हुआ है एल्बम की शक्ल में. सिंगल्स हेयर एंड देयर होते रहते हैं, लाइक यू हुक ऑन टू देम, यू कैच देम, मे बी कपल ऑफ सॉन्ग्स ईपीज आ जाती हैं, व्हिच आई डोंट नो पाकिस्तान में वो कल्चर अब रहा भी है नहीं. बट यू गाइस एंड प्रॉब्ली सम अदर बैंड्स जैसे कि ऑज का मैंने अभी रिसेंटली एल्बम सुनी थी उनकी. आई थिंक लास्ट ईयर आई थी, एंड ऑफ लास्ट ईयर, और सॉरी अर्लियर अर्लियर दिस ईयर आई थी
Yeah,
एक्चुअली, तो
I
सालों
did
का.
like a full. So I have a YouTube channel, chota sa. So I
जी
did like
जी.
a full song by song reaction to the Oj album.
Oh, you did? I did not
Yeah,
see
oh, yeah.
that. I must see that. I must see
Very.
that. Well, definitely put your link there as well. Because you started some tutorials too, right, on your YouTube channel?
So the Bayaan tutorials are on Bayan's YouTube channel.
Hmm.
ये भी यार basically I was saying कि लोग कौन कौन से गाने कवर कर रहे हैं, and then I would see कि वो गिटार गलत बजा रहे हैं सारे covers में, और मुझे दर्द होती थी. I was like,
Oh,
and then the thing that
perfectionist.
really the thing that really sold me on the idea was कि I saw someone else do a Bayan guitar tutorial, वो गलत था. And I was like
Oh
यार अगर,
no.
so I was like अगर tutorials हैं ही तो why not, from the
खुद ही
horse's
बना ले.
mouth, so to speak, खुद ही बना लेते हैं. um,
Not that you look like a horse. Just FYI, clearing that out for
horses
people.
are graceful creatures, ठीक है? I'd be
Yes, they
lucky
are.
to look like one.
Oh, really? Okay. So in this instance, it was a literal horse's mouth. Chalo, ठीक है, pretty good.
That's all.
But really looking forward to that, man. And I would be happy as a group. We would love to review that as well, because I am personally very excited for whatever you guys throw out in the next few months or so, and other things as well. So, appreciate it again, your time. I know we went over an hour a little bit, so apologies if you had to do something else or wake up early in the morning or whatever.
No
So
worries. It's rockstar Una midnight. So the
well,
day is just getting started. Blah blah
I
blah.
know.
Yeah,
insert rockstar lines here.
dude, I have heard such weird stuff from people who assume कि मैं पता नहीं कोई like 5-star hotel life गुजारता हूँ. Somebody once saw the car that I had driven to a show on, and they done the whole. तुम तो rockstar हो. इस गाड़ी में आए थे. And I
Seriously?
was like, हाँ, it's my car. Like, how much do you think I make out of music, buddy? I am losing
Dude,
money on music.
But yeah, I think again, just wanted to say that really appreciate it, and I would love to have you back on again when we discuss your new work. Would love to have a discussion about that work as well. But all in all, I think whatever you guys are doing, the whole band, yourself especially, and us for is amazing, is inspirational, and I think you've probably like won me over. I was the Zerb guy, but now I'm a Bayan guy for sure. So
I appreciate it.
yeah, appreciate your time, and we'd love to have you back on again. And yeah, I hope this was worth your while as well.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. Thanks again for having me. And uh, you know, whenever Bayan releases something, if you dig it, so it'd be cool to come back on and do another hour of me basically complaining about everybody and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a platform pretty much open for you to complain about anything you want to. So don't worry about that. I do a lot of that myself on the podcast because I could complain a lot about. This is one of the reasons why I have this podcast. So
Right.
it's definitely goes with the theme. Appreciate it. For those who are listening, feel free to subscribe the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. It's also on YouTube. Feel free to leave a rating on Spotify and Apple for makes it easier for other people to discover the show. And we'll be back with another discussion. This was, again, a brilliant one. So really appreciate your time. Thank you.